The flag drops, and they're racing. And look at Kurt Hall get a great start. And Britt Turkington, and there's Robert Wright, not to be outdone, lifting the front wheel. Well, what a tremendous shot this is as they race into the first turn here at Road Atlanta.
It sure is, Michael Winning and Nick Einoch. This is the end of a whole year of battling throughout the United States, through all the WERA regional races. This is the top guys. This is the race. This is where the $5 grand payoff is going to be.
Chuck Gray is right in the middle of things. We're looking off the back of his bike, but up front, Kurt Hall takes over from his 1100 duties, leads the 750 race. Tommy Lynch, the Bakersfield Bullet, number 13, right behind Mike Smith, Michael Martin, Kevin Rensell. All the big dogs are here. $5 grand on the line for the win, $3,000 for second, $2,000 for third. Suzuki's paying a lot of money. Someone went down here in the first series of S's. Billingsley is down and out. He's not happy. He's not in the money now. Let's take a look at the action.
Look at all the lines coming into that turn 6 section. Every rider's got his own, jockeying and vying for position in this race, this 15-lap race.
Full field. There must be some 40, 45 bikes on this field. This is a full grid, and all these guys have won championships in their district.
Down the back straightaway at Road Atlanta, the draft and pass game is on for lap number 1.
Right, Keith, and have a look at this. The Bakersfield Bullet, Tommy Lynch, has taken the lead and is shot away as they come down into the hole. Mike Smith and Kurt Hall trying desperately to keep up with him.
The lead foursome half pulled away from the pack slightly, with Michael Martin bringing up the tail end of it.
Tommy Lynch completes the first lap in the lead. Let's take a look at our on-bike camera, the Lockhart camera off the back of Chuck Gray's motorcycle. There's Franklin Knight right in Chuck Gray's tailpipe. Number 34 coming down to complete the first lap, looking for the inside line.
And they're right behind the leaders, going up the hill and through turn 1, up into the turn 2 section, down into the fast Road Atlanta S's. This is one of the toughest sections of the track. You can't pass here very easily. Some riders say it's a one-line section. These guys are proving it's a one-line section, except for, no, he didn't make it. Mike Smith was going for the Bakersfield Bullet right there in that turn. He didn't cut it.
Well, Tommy Lynch is looking cool, calm, and collected out in front right now, and doing it in great style. He lifts that front wheel going over the hill.
Great shot at Tommy Lynch. Keep in mind, folks, this is kind of a battle of the big guys. Tommy Lynch, Yoshimura mounted, Mike Smith and Kurt Hall from Team Valvoline Suzuki. This is kind of a shootout of the factory teams, huh, Keith?
Oh, definitely. Here they are winding up at Road Atlanta at the Grand National Finals, the big WERA end-of-the-year event. The spectators have poured into Road Atlanta. We've got about 15 to 20,000 people here. And Tommy Lynch, the Bakersfield Bullet, on his Yoshimura machine, knows they're out there. Here we are in the back straightaway, Nick, for the draft and pass.
Mike Smith is making the draft work. He sniffed up the back of Tommy Lynch and went by him and gone down into the hole. We call this the hole here at Road Atlanta. It's a great big compression in the back of the back straight. Tommy Lynch is second place to Mike Smith right now. Kurt Hall comes up the inside, but Lynch holds him off. Smith, Lynch, Hall, this is good stuff.
There's no problems here in the first few laps of this 750 final. It looks like Mike Smith's got it under control, but look what's happening in the backfield. Robert Wright's come up. Rick Kirk has come up, and so has Britt Turkington. They're catching up with the lead pack. Look at Michael Martin with that beautiful inside turn 1 pass.
Michael Martin slashing up the inside in turn 1, goes into second place. That's number 96. He's a 31-year-old out of Texas. He's raced all sorts of equipment from cars to now motorcycles. He has now displaced Tommy Lynch for second place, and let's see if we can catch Mike Smith.
I don't know if anybody's going to catch Mike Smith right now. He's certainly got this race under command. Those guys are stepping on each other's toes. He's on the gas.
I love watching races like this. All the guys on equal equipment. Who's the best rider? It looks like Mike Smith is pulling out a pretty nice lead, but Michael Martin, Kurt Hall, Tommy Lynch, all those guys are right nip and tuck.
All bets are off at Road Atlanta when you get to the back straightaway, though, Nick. And I think we're going to see some action back there. The draft and pass, 2 or 3 guys up in front. Gets a big wall of dead airspace. The rider who's in third in that one really gets the drive off there and you throw that rider right up to Mike Smith with no problem.
Well, Mike Smith is really pretty to watch, isn't he? He's our Formula USA champion for 1990, and he's out there displaying all the qualities and all the skill that has won him that championship this year.
There we see Tommy Lynch looking for the inside off the draft of Kurt Hall, but it didn't work out for him. Kurt Hall is right behind Michael Martin.
Right, Nick, and these guys are doing around, what, 160 miles an hour into that hole? Incredible stuff, and look at that shot of Mike Smith.
Out onto the paint, the slippery paint, down into turn 12, the final turn, using every possible inch of the racetrack, including the curbing.
Keith, let's talk a little bit about what's at stake for these guys. This is the Grand National Final. How important is it to these men?
Well, this race has been gaining popularity over the years. The WERA Grand National Finals is one of the top races in the United States. Scouts come to this thing, as David Sadowski pointed out last year. Riders are picked for teams. Sponsorships are made and lost here at the Grand National Finals at Road Atlanta every year in November.
Looks like Mike Smith is getting some pressure from Michael Martin and Kurt Hall. He had an early lead, but it might be fading away, Keith.
Road Atlanta strategy says don't be leading on the last lap, but here in the early stages of the race, Mike Smith is definitely trying to spread his wings in front of Michael Martin and Kurt Hall, also on 750 Suzukis in this Suzuki Cup Final race.
Well, Keith, it seems to me that Mike Smith is able to pull out along the back straight without using the draft, whereas the riders behind him are having to use the draft and just aren't making any impression on him.
Well, you can see him move out there. He was trying to shake Michael Martin out of his draft. That was for sure. He's doing it again. There he is, moving over to the center of the track, back over to the left. Nick, what do you think of that?
Well, that's a classic ploy down the back straight at Road Atlanta. Try to keep the guy out from behind your motorcycle, because if he gets in behind you, he's going to be able to be sucked along in the draft. Michael Martin, though, he's been around the block a few times, and he did pick up Smith a little bit on the back straight. You can see him all piling into it. Smith gets sideways. Martin gets wide. Lynch sneaks under for second. Tommy Lynch gets a free gift in second place.
Smith makes a mistake. The whole field rearranges. Let's look at that turn 11 and 12 section, but from the camera bike.
Well, Keith, here's this battle again with Chuck Graves and Franklin Knight still continuing as they come down through that corner.
I love that section of Road Atlanta, down the hill and through that fast right-hander. Meanwhile, up front, Mike Smith gets his lead back again. Tommy Lynch, Robert Wright out of Provo, Utah, and Michael Martin. Mike Smith, can anybody catch this guy, Keith?
I don't know. In that turn 1 and turn 2, 3, 4, 5 section, he is the fastest.
He flies through there. He really gets through there and builds a little bit of a lead. Mike Smith trying to keep his cool at the head of this GSXR 750 Suzuki Cup Final. This is the fastest guys, and they've got their heads down today.
Well, Mike Smith is still out in front, but Tommy Lynch is trying desperately to catch up. In fact, he's closing that gap.
That's right, Michael. Tommy Lynch on the Yoshimura Suzuki. Yoshimura for years, very famous across the world, around the world for fast Suzukis. Lynch is up there. He's practically in the draft and going for it.
And we'll be right back. Lynch battling it out for first place, approaching the halfway mark. Let's take a look at the battle for third place here in this race as we see Michael Martin and Kurt Hall. Kurt Hall, number 60 on the inside of Michael Martin, shuts the door, and Robert Wright goes wide off the track.
Robert Wright goes wide, and guess who sneaks under? Rick Kirk, the Oklahoma Shark, sneaks into third place. No, make that fifth place, actually. We're looking at the third place battle right now. Michael Martin on the brakes hard in one. We've seen him do that before. Leads out of turn 1 in third place.
Let's have another look at the Lockhart on by camera on Chuck Graves' bike, where we see Joe Pittman, number 171, going for the draft and pass. Oh, great work, Joe Pittman.
Meanwhile, Michael Martin down through the S's has got a little bit of breathing space, about a bike and a half on Kurt Hall. That's not enough. Kurt Hall is a tough competitor.
Keep in mind, Rick Kirk, the Oklahoma Shark, 59. The first time he's figured in this race, he's up there with the leaders. Michael Martin and Kurt Hall, they're a couple of the veterans. Rick Kirk is one of the young Chargers. Look for him to keep on charging.
He's closing at this stage of the race, just a little bit past the halfway point. Rick Kirk's got an excellent chance of getting himself into the winner's circle, but so do those other 7 guys out there, Nick.
Exactly.
Oh, there's been a crash.
Joe Pittman out of the Northwest Washington area into the hay bales, out of the race. We're sorry to hear that, especially after we saw him on the on-bike camera.
Michael Martin and Kurt Hall playing the draft and pass into the whole game at Road Atlanta. Who will come up the hill first?
Michael Martin with an interesting line out wide. Kurt Hall up on the inside. Let's see what happens on the brakes. Kurt Hall on the brakes in turn 11 under the bridge. Got Michael Martin. Hall sits in third place. Has $2,000 in cash if he can hang on to it. Rick Kirk sits right with Michael Martin. It's going to be a showdown right to the last lap.
Exactly right, Nick, as we see the white flag out. And now the big question must be, can they catch the Georgia Jet? Mike Smith out in front.
Forget the Georgia Jet. These guys are fighting for the $2 grand in third place. This is no trivial race. This is $2,000. That's going to buy those guys a nice plane ticket home, another set of tires.
Exactly. Look at the Georgia Jet and the Bakersfield Bullet. We like to call these guys because they ride fast. Mike Smith ahead of Tommy Lynch. Tommy Lynch is going to have to do something very exciting here to get Mike Smith. Mike Smith is in control.
Exactly, Nick. Well, while all this is going on up front, just have a look at the battle that's going on further back in the field. Everybody wants to be in a top 10 finish. Look at these 6 racers. They've been up there all day in that tight group. You've got Mark McDaniel, Dean Misdell, and Jason Pridmore, just to name a few. Fantastic racing.
Exactly. Everybody wants to do well at the Grand National Final.
Let's go back for a second and take a look at that fantastic dice on the last lap for third place. Kurt Hall, Michael Martin, Rick Kirk.
down the back straight. The draft and pass is working. Michael Martin sticking as close as he can to Kurt Hall. He's going to try to pick a spot to zip out around him. And meanwhile, Rick Kirk is getting the benefit of a 2-bike draft, and he's got plans himself.
Right, Nick, just look at these guys. What a ding-dong battle this is. Oh, look at Michael Martin. He's gone wide into the hole. This will set him up badly for the bridge turn.
Michael Martin is risking everything on the brakes. It doesn't work. Kurt Hall leads down the hill for third. Martin is wide, and Rick Kirk goes underneath for fourth place.
And so Mike Smith will take the checkered flag from Tommy Lynch, with Kurt Hall, Rick Kirk, and Michael Martin finishing in 5th spot. A jubilant Mike Smith waves to the crowd.